Alright guys, welcome to Numbers. So tomorrow we have CET. So giving you a last minute tip from my end. Okay, and another thing, we're gonna give you two things right now immediately. One is we'll have a small discussion on how do you exactly attempt the paper, and then this video will be continued by two videos, which will be like one video basically, which will be shortcuts part 1 and 2. Okay, wherein I'll give you all the shortcuts of quant, specifically the topic quant. Okay, so all the shortcuts and every technique is being covered in this particular video. Okay, so you may go ahead and watch this. Let's start with how do you attempt the video. Okay, now when I say attempting the not the video, sorry for that, how to attempt the paper. Now when I say attempting the paper, there are 4 sections, as we already have mentioned. LR, you have abstract reasoning, you have quant and DI, and you have verbal. Alright, so this is how it is. And if you notice, there will be 3 to 4 types of questions that now you have, since you will have been writing mocks for quite some time now. You might have understood you can categorize everything into 4 areas. Basically, something like a high speed, high accuracy, this is your strongest area. Okay, something like a high speed, low accuracy, this is a good area for you, but then you take a little you attempt this area really fast, but you make a lot of silly mistakes. Okay, again, low speed and high accuracy, this is going to be a very strong area which has high accuracy, maybe 100%, but might be low speed. So something like reading comprehension or maybe visual reasoning, you might be getting all the answers correct. Okay, but you have you'll be very low with the speed. And the last one is low speed, low accuracy. This is going to be obviously your danger zone. Okay, so you might have recognized these things for sure by now. Okay, so what you got to do is you got to start with, you can attempt the paper in 2 ways. One is you can attempt section wise. For example, you can go LR first, then you can do your strong area, as I've mentioned in my earlier discussion video as well, how much time to allocate. So LR, around you can allocate 45 to 50 minutes. You can easily allocate around 30 to 35 minutes to quant and verbal respectively, and you can get through these sections easily. And the rest of the time, which is 30 to 35 minutes, you can allocate to abstract reasoning, because that is something new for you. Alright, so this is one way of allocating time and doing the question section wise. However, if you're more interested in getting all your strong areas clear first, so that you have a nice confidence boost, what you can do is, in every area you will definitely have high speed, high accuracy. For example, in LR, let's say decision making is high speed, high accuracy for you. Okay, you'll have a lot of questions on high speed, high accuracy, because almost certainly the level of the paper of CET is not that difficult when compared to the other contemporary exams. Alright, so you'll definitely have a lot of high speed, high accuracy questions, so you may recognize them at the last moment. You don't try to mock right now, don't try to find more notes, and don't try to go through any books right now, don't try to learn new concepts right now. What you can do is you can take any one of your mocks and go for one mock and just analyze what all were high speed, high accuracy area. If you get a range of around 90 to 110 questions on high speed, high accuracy, there is no issue, because there is a high speed, you can solve these in 50 minutes. Okay, because you're gonna solve them really fast. Okay, then you can go do something like your high speed but low accuracy, or maybe you can also go for low speed, high accuracy, depending on the momentum you've gathered in the previous set. Okay, try to understand, even if it's high speed but you have low accuracy here, so definitely give a little more time than usual. So let's say DS, this is normally an area like DS, where you just quickly go through the question and you try to mark the answer as fast as possible. Okay, so something like this, if for a DS you are giving 2 minutes for 5 questions, you may now increase that time to 2.5 minutes tomorrow. Okay, now you can go to low speed, high accuracy areas, because already your speed is like, now you've been exhausted, you've been working really 50 minutes here and approximately 20 to 30 minutes here, so around I would say 1.5 hours, and you would have solved definitely more than 130 questions in 1.5 hours. So you have 1 more hour to go, and you're really exhausted. So definitely in that case, go for low speed, high accuracy. In spite of having low speed, your accuracy will be high. So even if you score a full marker in the first 2 sections, you can easily push to around 20 to 15 to 20 more in this one. And with the low speed, low accuracy, this should be the minimal. Okay, I'd suggest only 1 or 2 sets must be your low speed, low accuracy sets, and you can pull them around for 3 to 4 marks and getting a decent score when it comes to the attempt. Alright, this is how this functions, and you may use any of them. You can go for section strategy, you can go for high speed and high accuracy kind of strategy. Alright, so now we'll continue with the shortcuts video. Just go through this video once and for all, and you'll get revision of all the concepts of quant when it comes to CET. Alright, thank you very much. Hope you have a great time watching the video. Alright guys, let's talk about shortcuts. So I possibly believe that in areas like quant, DI, LR and verbal reasoning, you possibly have shortcuts for every problem. Alright, let's understand this. So now let's talk about quant and DI. You have 50 marks of quant and DI. LR will come for around 60 to 65 marks and verbal reasoning will come for around 20 marks. So around, let's say, 130 odd marks. You can solve these 130 questions in a matter of 20 to 25 seconds per question, which will, in other words, save a lot of time for the difficult or other time consuming area like verbal ability and obviously visual reasoning. Alright, so let's just talk about quant shortcuts right now, okay, in this particular video, because this is a part of the curriculum of fast track CET course. Let's talk about quant shortcuts and then we can move ahead to LR or DI or verbal shortcuts, verbal reasoning shortcuts. Okay, let's talk about quant. So let's say I have a handout here. Now these are all CET based quant questions. This handout is uploaded in the quant section of the given courseware. Alright, have a look at the 17th one. Speed increased by 20. Speed. Now I'm sure all of you are aware, I need not go through the basics because there is not a time where I teach you the basics. Speed increased by 20. Person reaches in his destination 20 minutes early. This is basically 20 minutes early. Okay, I just forgot I just mistyped the question. So if you increase the speed, the time taken will be lesser. So now when speed increased by 20, person reaches 20 minutes early. Obviously if you increase speed, the time will reduce. Okay, now quickly going through it, all you gotta do is, how do you make 20 as 100? You multiply by 5, multiply the same time by 5, multiply the same thing to the time, which means 20 into 5 is 100. This is going to be the new time taken and they are asking for find the new time taken, so the answer is 100 minutes. Alright, so simple. So had this been, let's say, 25%, speed increased by 25%, how do you make 25 as 100? You will multiply by 4, you'll do the same thing in time and again multiply by 4 and you'll get it sorted. Alright, so all you gotta do is make the increment whatever is given to you. So let's say if I have speed is increased by 9 1 by 11. Now 9 1 by 11% is as good as 1 by 11, 1 by 11, which means, in other words, if I multiply by 11, or you can say 9 1 by 11 is 100 by 11. So how do I make this 100? Multiply by 11. So in this case, I'll multiply the time by 11 and that will be the new time. Keep that in mind, it's going to be the new time. Alright, look at the 18th one. Two students appeared at an exam. One of them secured 9 more than the other and his mark was 56% the sum of marks. Now his marks were 56% the sum of marks. 56%, let's say A got 56% of A plus B. So can I say B got 44% of A plus B? So what is the difference of the percentage? 12%. What is the mark difference? Okay, keep in mind percentage difference is value difference. Okay, so what is the percentage difference? 12%. Mark difference is 9%. So 12% of total is 9. Okay, so I can say 12 by 100 of total is 9. And I can cancel this 3 and 4 and this is 25. So total is going to be 75. And that's about it. Okay, so we can then take it ahead from here. Alright, 19th is easy, it doesn't need any shortcut as such. 50% of 40% of 3450 you can easily find out. 20th, quantity is successfully increased by 33 1 by 3. Now 33 1, you must know the reciprocals as I mentioned earlier, 1 by 3. 25 is 1 by 4. 20 is 1 by 5. So now first of all, it is increased by 33 1 by 3%. When it's increased by 1 by 3, it becomes 4/3. Then by 25, so it becomes 5/4, and then it's reduced by 20, so it becomes 4/5. This cancels and that's the answer. Net is 33 1 by 3% increase. Alright, that's how this functions. A shopkeeper purchased 200 bulbs for 10 each. However, 5 were fused and had to be thrown away. Remaining were sold for 12 each. What is the percentage profit? Now this is very simple. Again, you can solve it directly by assuming values. Now cheating shopkeeper, okay, dishonest shopkeeper, you can find my video on the same on YouTube as well. Okay, you can go to my channel Numbers by Rohan Raval at YouTube and you will find the same thing, but however I explain this to you. Shopkeeper cheats both his customer and the wholesaler. Customer gives 20 less, wholesaler takes 10 more. So what is happening is from the wholesaler, he is saying 100. Okay, he is promising 100, but he is taking 110, and the customer is promising 100, giving 80, which means he is making 30. 30 is because of this, because he actually has 110. Okay, now this is what he's promising to the wholesaler, but he's taking 110. So he takes 110 and gives out only 80. So he makes a profit of 30 on 80. 1 on 8 is 12.5, so 3 on 8 is 37.5%, and none of these is the answer. Alright, so this is as simple as this. Okay, so now let's say 24th. Okay, on selling 17 balls is 720, there's a loss of 5 balls. Now understand, this is very conceptual. Now shortcuts don't come out just like that. They don't just like, they just don't like rain like cats and dogs. They have to think about it. It's just a very conceptual thing. Okay, on selling 17 balls, there's a loss of 5 balls. So I sold 17 balls at rupees 720, and I lost the cost of 5 balls, which means 12 balls were supposed to be sold at 720. So per ball cost should be 60 rupees. Right, and that's it, 60. Simple as that. 25th, certain sum becomes 17 times itself under 20% simple interest. Now what is simple interest? It is an incremental interest. So if I say 20% interest, first year I get 20, second year I get 20, etc. In 5 years I make 100. So in 5 years I make my own amount back. Okay, now it becomes 17 times itself. So in 5 years it will become 2 times. In 10 years it will become 3 times. Okay, so basically in 5 years it grows by 1-fold. Okay, when I say 17 times, I need it to grow 16 folds, which means it will take 80 years. And that's about it. 80 years is the answer. None of these again. Sorry. Alright, so the next one, sum of money 10290 in 3 years and 1563 in 6 years. Now 3 and 6 don't really count at all here. Okay, because it's ultimately compounding 3 times. So basically what happens is 10290 compounded thrice becomes 15360. So basically the compounding is 15360 over 10290, and this cancels. Okay, you can cancel 3's. So I have 512 over 343. So R is going to be 8 over 7, which means 8 over 7 is the compounding, which means every year the growth is 1/7. 1/7 is nothing but 14 by 7%. Right, it's as simple as this. So it's that easy. Nothing to be done here. Okay, for example, 27th looks complicated, looks like a CET question, is a CET question. 7663, for now I'll ignore the sum, is invested for 3 years. For 3 years the investment is 25, 20 and 33 1/3. The returns 25 is 1/4, so the growth is 5/4. 20 is 1/5, so the growth is 6/5. 33 1/3 is 1/3, so the growth is 4/3. 4 cancels 4, 5 cancels 5. 6/3 is nothing but 2/1. 2/1 means it will become twice. So the CI is equal to the amount because it becomes twice. Alright, it's as simple as this. So let's say for example 30th one. Let's talk about averages. Average weight of 8 people increased by 2.5 and a new person comes in a place of one of them weighing 65. Okay, now it's a replacement problem. What is happening is, understand this, there is a group of 8 people. There are 8 people inside the group. Okay, what is happening is, when there is a new person who comes in place of 65, so 65 departs, somebody else comes in. Because of this guy, the average goes up by 2.5, which means this person is capable of giving 2.5 more to everybody. So 2.5 more to 8 of them. 2.5 more to 8 of them is basically 20 units, 20 kilograms, whatever. Okay, which means he will have 20 more than 65, which is 85. Okay, because when 65 was inside, he had some average. Let's say they had some average X, whatever, X, A, B, C, whatever you want. Okay, but when this 85 guy came in, he could give 20 more than what 65 could, and that is how they increased by 2.5. So the answer is 85. Simple as that. So a pupil's mark was wrongly entered 83 instead of 63. So it was wrongly entered 83 instead of 63. So the actual mark was 63. The correction was 83. Due to that, the average got increased by half. So now because of the increase of 20 mark, everybody got half a mark extra. Now if everybody got half a mark extra because of 20 mark, there will be 40 students, because if there are 40 students and I have 20 marks given to them, they'll get half mark each extra. So the answer is 40 students. It's as simple as this. Okay, so now let's talk about mixtures. Two alloy A and B have copper and zinc in the ratio 4:5:3:7. So A and B, okay, let's say have something like this: A and B, copper, zinc. Okay, in the first alloy it's 4:5. In the second alloy is 3:7. All you gotta do is add the ratios. So I have 9 and 10. Take the LCM, 90. So what I'll do is I'll take 90 kgs of these two alloys. Ideally, we'll ignore this for a while. Ideally, I'll take 90 and quickly calculate. So if I take 90 divided 9 is per part. 90 can be divided in 9 parts, per part 10. If per part is 10, A will be 40 and 50. So I'm taking 90 kgs of A. I'll have 40 of copper, 50 of zinc. I'll take 90 of B. If 90 divided in 10 parts, per part 9, so I'll have 27 of copper and 63 of zinc. Okay, so had this been in ratio 1:1, this would be the answer, 67, and this will be 113. But the ratio is not 1:1. Okay, the ratio is 2:3. So I'll take 2 parts of A and 3 parts of B. 2 parts of A is going to be this, 3 parts of B is going to be this, and if I add, I have simple 161 is to 289, and that's the answer. 161 is to 289. Not there in the option, so none of these. Right? It's as simple as this. So you just have to focus on there are shortcuts for everything when it comes to these areas. Okay, so in my next video on shortcuts, okay, this is the first video on shortcuts. In my next video on shortcuts, I'm going to explain you shortcuts on mixtures, time and work, time, speed, distance, permutation, combination, and probability with geometry. Alright, and obviously ratio, proportion, variation. Right, so the next video on shortcut, the first video on shortcut is the introduction video. In the next video on shortcut, we'll be talking about time, work, time, speed, distance shortcut, mixture shortcut, then ratio shortcuts, mensuration shortcuts. These 4 shortcuts we'll be talking about in the next video on shortcuts. Okay, for now, I guess you enjoyed the video. Enjoy yourself, have a great time learning CET. All the best for that. Alright guys, welcome to the part 2 of shortcut video, where we're gonna cover, as we mentioned earlier, time and work, time, speed, distance shortcuts, shortcuts on ratio, proportion, variation, and problems on edges, shortcuts on mixtures, and then we'll also do some PNC concepts and probability that will be helpful for you for CET tomorrow. Alright, so let's go for this. So this is the handout, and these are the only questions that can be asked to you in CET. There's no other variation apart from this 50 odd questions, whatever there. Alright, so let's talk about each one by one. Everyone has a different concept altogether. Let's look at time and work question. So if we go to 36th one, if 13 men can do a piece of work in 36 days, then how many days will 18 men complete the same piece of work in? Now it's a simple concept of man into days. Okay, so it's all about how many man days you got to work. So you have 13 men and they can do in 36 days, and on the other side we are comparing 18 men because the work is kept the same. So how many days? So simple as that. The answer is 26 days. Okay, this is a very basic question. It can also be MDH by W, all 4 quantities used together. Let's go ahead. So A can do a piece of work in 15 days, and the next one, B says 20 days. If they work together for 4 days, then what fraction of work is left? Now here it's very clear. You just have to use the LCM. So A can do in 15 days and B can do in 20 days. So if A does 15 and B does 20, we can just take the LCM as 60. So if it's 60, then A will do 4 units a day and B will do 3 units a day. And now they said that they work together for 4 days. So if they work together for 4 days, it is going to be total work that they do is 7 units a day. For 4 days they'll do 28. So how much part of the work is completed, or rather left? Okay, so just pay attention to these words, because CET is very clever with these kind of words. Okay, so you have to pay attention as you're going to be moving really fast through the paper. So please definitely pay attention what is the word here. So it's left and not completed. So in 4 days we will finish 28 units, which means we are left with 32 units. 32 and 60 is basically 8 over 20, which is as good as 4 over 15, and that's the answer, 4 over 15. That is the work left. Alright, so we'll go ahead. A and B are 2 taps. Now there's like negative works. They can fill the tank individually in 10 and 20 minutes respectively. However, there is a leakage which can empty the tank in 40 minutes. If the tank is empty initially, how many times will it take to get filled? So we have 2 filling pipes, 10 and 20, and 1 emptying pipe, 40. So simple as that. So we have 10, we have 20, and we have minus 40 because it's negative work. It is an emptying pipe. So the LCM comes out to 40. So it's going to be 4, this is 2, and this is minus 1. So effectively, they can do 5 units in every hour. So the question is, if the tank is empty, how much time will the taps take to fill the tank? Is the leakage is still there? Now, have a look at this. So 5 units, you got to complete 40 hours, and that divide by 5. So every minute, basically they're saying, because it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and 40 minutes. So precisely, they'll take 40 by 5 minutes, which is nothing but 8 minutes. And that's the answer, 8 minutes. Alright, now let's go to time. This is like negative work, working together, and MD concept. Alright, let's go ahead now. Time, speed, distance. Obviously, in time, speed, distance, the most important would be trains and boats and races. These 3 things. So if you're like on the verge of fainting because of you worried of quant tomorrow, just do these 3 concepts, and these 3 concepts will definitely, one of them will be asked in the CET. So have a look at train question. Now, simple concept of train. When a train crosses a man or a pole or itself, or not itself, sorry, a man or a pole or something which is insignificant in width as compared to the train, it just crosses, the distance crossed is itself. Alright, but if a train, however, crosses a platform or a bridge, the distance now will be the bridge length and itself. Okay, that's the difference. Now have a look. Now how do we use this concept at its best? A train passes a platform in 36 and a man in 20. So basically, when I'm saying a train passes a platform in 36 seconds and a man in 20 seconds, which means that 16 seconds extra it needs to just cross the platform. So when I say 16 seconds extra just to cross the platform, so it travels for 16 seconds more. Now if we say the speed of the train is given to us, so it travels at 54 for 16 seconds. 54 is basically 15 meters per second as converted, and this is 16 seconds. So speed unit time will give you the distance, which is 240, and that is nothing but the length of this platform. Okay, because only for the platform it just takes 16 seconds to pass. Alright, have a look at this. If 2 trains 100 km moving in opposite direction cross each other in 8 seconds, which means their effective speed is 100 by 8. Okay, actually 200 by 8 because they're both together crossing each other. So it's going to be 25 meters per second. 25 meters per second, if I convert to kilometers an hour, it's going to be 90 kilometers an hour. Alright, and it's saying that if one train is moving twice as fast as the other, find the speed of the faster train. Now basically we know that the addition of the speeds is 90, and we have to find 2 quantities that have a ratio of 2:1. So it's obviously 30 and 60, and the faster train is 60 kilometers. Alright, have a look at the next one. In a 100-meter race, A can give B 10 meters and C 28 meters. In the same race, B can give C how much? Now the simple concept of race, which can be easily solved by using ratios. So I have A, B and C, 3 people here. Alright, and we have A can give 10 meters and B can and C 28 meters. So when A reaches 100, B will cover 90 and C will cover 72, which is nothing but it can give 28 extra and 10 extra. So to find out in the same race, okay, if B is covering, how much will C cover in that much time? Okay, so if we just quickly say this is nothing but 10 and this is like 8, 10 and 90, and sorry, 10 and 9 and 8 and 9, and we just doubled the multiplied by 10, so multiplied by 10, so 80. So in that case, B can give C 20 meters. Alright, so next have a look at the next one. In a 200-meter race, A beats B by 35 meters or 7 seconds. So in a 200-meter race, A beats B by 35 or 7 seconds. So basically it means that when A finishes, B is 35 meters behind, or it will take 7 seconds more to reach. So speed of the train, speed of B is going to be 5 meters per second. Now what is the question? The question is, what is A's time course? Okay, now speed of B is 5 meters per second. Okay, now have a look at this very neatly. now in 5 meters per second, okay, B traveled from this to this point, which is nothing but 165 meters. It covers in 5 meters per second, which means the time duration of B will be 53 seconds. 53 seconds to reach from here to here. Alright, so if you look at this, alright, so 53 seconds it will take to reach from one point to the other. Yeah, so repeating this again, actually, it is like A is 35 meters ahead or 7 seconds ahead of B, which means A's speed is going to be 35 by 7. Alright, and that is nothing but 5 meters per second. Okay, so A's time course over the period will be 40 seconds, and that's the answer because it covers 200 meters at the speed of 5 meters per second. Alright, let's look at the most wonderful topic of CET, which is problems on ages. So whenever you see this kind of a problem where is the ratio given to you and ages and numbers given to you, it's a serious bonus, because you can actually solve these questions within 5 to 6 seconds. Okay, now let's understand how. First rule: don't make equations. Okay, have a look. Let's go about this, because there's a reason why I'm saying this, because ages, okay, can always be an integer, and that is why it's so easy to calculate. So let's look at the first question. Okay, so present age of Samir and Anand, the ratio 5:4, which means Samir and Anand, they have a ratio of 5:4, and 3 years later their ratio will become 11:9. So simple, because age is always going to be an integer. 4, okay, represents Anand's part, because we need Anand's age. So if 4 is Anand's part, which means the present age of Anand must be a multiple of 4, which is easily removing the option B and D, because they are not multiples of 4. The rest 3 are multiples of 4. Now what do you mean by this ratio? 3 years later means Anand will grow ahead by 3 years, and Anand is now 9 parts, which means it should be a multiple of 9 if you increase the number by 3. 40 increased by 3 is 43, not a multiple of 9. 20 increased by 3 is 23, again not a multiple of 9. So 24 increased by 3 is 27, which is the multiple of 9. So the answer is 24. Alright, it is that easy. Alright, have a look at the next one. Again, we'll use the same logic and try to deduct the answer orally. Present age of 3 people is 4, 7, 9. Now present age is 3, 4, 7 and 9. Okay, now keep in mind the ratio of age will keep changing. It won't be the same. So for example, if I am 6 years old and I have a sibling who's 3 years old, our ratio is 2:1. The next year the ratio is no more 2:1. So the ratio is only fixed for that particular moment told to you. So they're saying the present age ratio is this much. 8 years ago the ratio will not be that. Okay, but 8 years ago the sum is 56, which means 8 years ago, if all 3 combine to 56, after 8 years all 3 will increase by 8 each, so that will become 80. Alright, now if I say the ratio is 479, 479 means total 20 parts. If I divide 80 in 20 parts, I get per part 4. So 479 is going to be 16, 28 and 36. Alright, and that's what is asked. So the answer is 16, 28, 36. Option B. Okay, let's go ahead. So have a look at the next one. Age of the father 10 years ago is thrice of the son. Age of the father 10 years hence will be twice of the son. So 10 years ago is thrice and 10 years hence is thrice. Now keep it in mind, it's again a very beautiful concept. If the ratio of 2 people, here father and son, 10 years back is 3:1, 10 years later is 2:1, currently the ratio will never be 2.5. okay, it will be towards 3. okay, because again, as I mentioned, the age grows in arithmetic progression. So if you notice, 8 and 2 the ratio is 4:1, 9 and 3 the ratio is now 3:1, and 10 and 4 the ratio is 2.5. so basically what I'm trying to say is 4 and 2.5's average is not 3. 3 is slightly towards 4, so it will be slightly towards 3, 2.5. it will be more than 2.5 but less than 3. Let's check this out. Okay, so simple, 4:13 cannot be the ratio because that is not following the case. This is definitely okay. 7:3 is also following the same thing. Okay, no, this is like 3:something something. Okay, sorry for that. This is 4.5, this is again 4, and 7:3 is perfect because it is exactly 2.33. okay, which is towards 2.5. okay, away from 3 however. Okay, but this is how the age ratio works. Okay, the age ratio can never be the arithmetic mean of 2 different timelines of the same age. Three numbers are ratio 3:4:5. The first and third is more than the second by 52. Now if the numbers are 3, 4, 5, the first and the third adds to 8. Now they're saying this is 52 more than middle. So basically 4 parts is 52. So one part is 13, and you're supposed to find the larger number. So the larger number is 13 into 5, which is 65, and that's the answer, 65. So this is how you exactly go about solving such questions on ages and other things. Okay, so you may go ahead and try to solve the remaining questions by yourself. Let's move to a very important concept, and two very important topics actually. One is permutation combination, and the other one is probability. After that we'll do mensuration. Have a look at this. How many ways can the letters of the word corporate be arranged? Now have a look. There's 3 simple concepts here. Okay, one is called the gap method, one is called the group method. Okay, let's understand both these, and the third one is alternate arrangement. So they're talking about corporate. So first of all, okay, don't worry about the repeating letters for now. Let's first understand what do we want to do exactly when it comes to arranging. So no constraints on arrangement, there's no issue at all. So I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 letters, so it's going to be 9 factorial upon, okay, so how many vowels do we have? We have 1 2 vowels repeating, both O are repeating and both R are repeating, so it's going to be 2 fact for 2 O's and 2 fact for 2 R's. This is, I guess, pretty clear when it comes to repeating letters. How do you exactly arrange? Now let's look at the conditions given to us. Vowels are always together, so vowels we have O, A and E. Now these 4 should remain together. So what we'll do is the remaining 5 consonants, the remaining 5 letters, we can keep them separate and we can keep this group together. So it's going to be 6 elements. They can be arranged in 6 factorial ways. Okay, and these 4 can be arranged among each other in 4 factorial ways. And now we will take care of the repetition, which is 2 O's and 2 R's, and that's going to be the answer. Moving ahead. So if we have no 2 consonants are together, now when you have no 2 consonants together, alright, what we have to do is we have to arrange consonants between the vowels. So we'll first place the vowels. Right, keep in mind, if you have no 2 men together, no 2 girls together, no 2 players together, every time you'll do the same thing, you'll create gaps. So out of these 4 letters, we can make 5 gaps, and the 5 consonants can be arranged in 5p5, which is nothing but 5 factorial ways. The 4 vowels can be arranged in 4 factorial ways, and I divide again by 2 fact for O's and R's. So keep that in mind. The repetition part you can take care later. Alright, going ahead, P is always before T. Now P is always before T. Now if you look at the word corporate, P is before T in the word itself, but there can be a lot of arrangements where P will go after T. So what we'll do is we'll cancel out their inter-arrangement. Now how we do that is, first we'll generally arrange. We'll find the number of ways to arrange the first question itself, 9 fact by 2 fact, 2 fact. Now R and P, okay, P should be always before R. Now R and P can be arranged in these 2 manners. One is RP and one is PR, which will equally take the number of combinations in this. So for example, what I'm trying to say, if there are 720 arrangements possible, just a hypothetical number, half of them will be taken by RP, which means R will be before P, and half of them will be taken by PR, which means B will be before R. So what we have to do is we have to cancel the intra-arrangement of P and R. So it's simple as that. It's called internal arrangement, and you cancel it by this, because they can be arranged in 2 fact ways, but now we don't want them to arrange, you want them to be in one manner only. Alright, that's how this intra-arrangement works. Let's look at selection question. Out of 7 consonants, how many words, 4 vowels, how many words of 3 consonants and 2 vowels we selected? Now when you have selection, it's just plain combination. So I can take any 3 out of 7 and I can take any 2 out of the 4. Alright, and just multiply these 2 and that will be the answer. Alright, 7 coins are tossed simultaneously. What is the probability that they are exactly 2 heads, exactly 3 tails, at least 5 tails, at most 2 tails, heads more than tails? Okay, let's look at these each one of them. Whenever you have coins, just make a combination table of that coin. So it's 7C0, I'll write all the combinations possible. 7C2, 7C3, 7C4, 7C5, 7C6, 7C7. Now remember, 7 being an odd number, this can be equally divided, so keep that in mind as well. It is not true for even numbers, but our odd numbers, you will find a replica of the left and right side. I mean, they will be like exactly replicating each other. So as I go here, 7C0 is 1, 7C7 is 1, 7C1 is 7, 7C6 is 7, 7C2 is 21, and 7C5 is 21, 7C3 is 35, and 7C4 is also 35. So if you can notice, it's an exact replica. The same numbers go in descending now. Okay, let's look at the question now. Exactly 2 heads. You can either look at 2 heads or 5 tails. The answer is going to be the same, 21. Alright, next is exactly 3 tails. You can look at this or this because it can be 3 tails or 4 heads, so it's going to be 35. Next question, at least 5. At least 5 means you'll start with 5 tails, 6 tails, 7 tails. So if I add, I get 29. Next one is at most 2 heads. At most 2 heads is basically addition of 0, 1 or 2 heads, so it's again going to be 29. And the last one says heads more than tails. So if you have heads more than tails, what you're going to do is, if you just notice, as I mentioned, this can be divided into equal halves. So heads more than tails means you have 4 heads, 5 heads, 6 heads or 7 heads. So there are exactly half the cases. Now if you add the entire combination table, you'll get 2 raised to 7. That is 128. That's the rule of combination. So half of it is going to be 64. And that's the answer. You don't have to count in this question. Alright, that's how this works. 2 dice are rolled simultaneously. Let's look at die question. What is the probability the sum of faces is more than 9, less than 5, prime number, perfect square? Now the very specific shortcut for sum of faces, okay, this is a very old method discovered by a lot of people and used by a lot of teachers as well. So probability the sum of faces is more than 9, less than 5, prime number, perfect square. Usually what we do is we write down these 36 cases and then try to find a sum, but we won't do this here. What we'll do is I'll just write the sums possible. So I'll write in blue. The sums possible are 2, 3, because you can have 1, 1, 4, 5, 6 and 7. These are the sums possible. You can have 8, you can have 9, you can have 10, you can have 11 and you can have 12. So what I've done is made a triangular structure where I've written the numbers down, and now I'll just write 1, 2 natural numbers, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and I'll go reverse, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Alright, now what is exactly happening here? Let me explain. Now the outer ones are the sums possible. You can have a sum of 2, you can have a sum of 3, you can have a sum of 4, you can have a sum of 5, etc. till sum of 12. Okay, and the inner numbers, these ones, okay, they are basically the number of time each sum occurs. So for example, 2 occurs only once, 1, 1. 3 occurs twice because it's 1, 2 and 2, 1. 4 will occur 3 times. It's going to be 1, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, etc. till 12. Okay, that's how this functions. 12 also comes 1, 6, 6. Alright, so now your problem solved. Like you can quickly go through the questions and answer. More than 9 is going to be 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is 6. And less than 5, it's again going to be 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is 6. Okay, of prime number. Now prime number are 2, which is 1 time, 3 is 2 times, 5 is 4 times, 7 is 6 times, and 11 is 2 times. This is going to add up to 8 and 4, 12, 12 and 3, 16, 16 by 36. Alright, that's how this works. And if we go ahead, perfect square. Now perfect square are 1 is there, but 1 is not a sum possible. You can either have 4, which is occurring 3 times, or you can have a 9 that occurs 4 times, and that's the answer. 7 on 36. Alright, that's how this problems can be solved. Okay, so you can go ahead, just revise the basic concepts of probability. You don't need to do much advanced concept like Bayes theorem and everything. Okay, for CET you just have to be like, you just need to know the basic selection and arrangements, and especially coins and dice. Alright, now have a look at geometry. Now geometry in CET usually is all going to be about mensuration, so make sure you know all the mensuration formulas. So which is basically, I'm talking about areas, I'm talking about volumes of 3D figures, I'm talking about surface area as well. Okay, and if it's hemisphere, specifically study hemisphere and go, because hemisphere questions are very frequent these days. And that's it, you don't need to do much. So obviously once your formulas are sorted, you're halfway there. Diagonal of the rectangle, for example, diagonal is 41, area is 20. Now diagonal is 41, area is 20. How will I fit this? It's very simple. Its area is 20 and diagonal is 41. Now if you observe 41, you can have this kind of very smart observation. For 41 is 25 plus 16, so the sides are going to be 4 and 5, and that's it, because diagonal is nothing but the square root of the sum of squares of sides. Alright, so simple. The answer is the perimeter in this case, 5 plus 4, 9, and 9 is 18. Alright, so simple questions on areas and perimeters can be usually asked. So if we'll have a look at this, area of circle, what is the circumference, and things like that. That's it about geometry as well. Okay, so just go through all your basic questions on areas, volumes, surface areas, and specifically study hemisphere. I guess that's it for the shortcuts thing, because I mean everything is being covered here. We haven't left anything as such in both the videos together, and this is what the kind of questions that will be asked in CET when it comes to quant. Alright, so focus on quant. Just go through this video once, and I don't think so you need to even revise it again. That's perfectly going to be fine. and go through your basic percentages when it comes to when it comes to data interpretation. Go to the specific percentage, okay, I would say reciprocals in specific, alright, and just some conversion videos, like how do you convert one pie chart to the other. You can find these videos on our channel itself, on pie charts or line graphs, whatever you wish, alright. When it comes to verbal ability, just right now what you gotta do in the next couple of hours that are left, just go through those words at the end of word power made easy by Norman Lewis, and that should be enough, I guess. You need not practice anything as such for verbal. Okay, for visual reasoning, you can again look at my channel for questions on odd man out and series and water image and mirror image. Okay, so you can check my channel out. You'll find all these videos. Okay, you can just go through them once and for all. If you have already gone through them, I would suggest do a small recap of that, so you'll get the concepts will get revised, because visual is something that you aren't used to doing, usually, be it your schooling, be it any other entrance, we haven't done visual at all. So the point is, visual will be challenging unless you know all the concepts and types of the same. Alright, going ahead, DI, verbal ability, visual, and for precisely, I would say, for the last area, which is quant, I think I've explained you great enough that how does this exactly work. Okay, and for the first part, which is logical reasoning, okay, logical reasoning, it's gonna be in two ways. Okay, one is the common sense reasoning, okay, which comes for around 30 to 35 marks. This includes like you can have arrangements here. Okay, I'll just make a note of that. You can have arrangements here, you can have circular puzzles, okay, you can have decision making, okay, you can have series questions, you can have odd man out kind of questions, etc. Okay, and the second part will be verbal reasoning. Now verbal reasoning is something where you will have statement assumption, statement conclusion, statement course of action. You can check out these videos on my channel again. The basics of these videos have been uploaded, so you can just search for the same topics. Okay, so you'll get to know every rule of these kind of things. Okay, these three will be the most important when it comes to verbal reasoning. So I guess I hope all of you have a great attempt at CET. I hope you had a great time learning with me and taking this ahead. I would like to wish all of you guys very great luck and a very awesome paper tomorrow. Enjoy yourself.